What's up, guys? Russ Anderson, Anderson Security Consulting, andersonsecurityconsulting.com, on Instagram and Facebook, Anderson Security Consulting, and on Twitter, it's exec_protect, exec_protect. If this video has any value to you whatsoever, please consider liking and subscribing. And thank you very much to those of you who have subscribed. Thank you so much. It humbles me that people actually want to hear some of the things that I have to say, some of my insight and analysis, and some of the experiences I can share. So thank you so much for your faith in me. I will do my best to make sure it is well founded. Your faith is well founded. So if you comment, please comment down below. I don't censor the comment section. Just comment whatever you want. I try to reply to all the comments. I don't always. If you have a video suggestion, put it in the comment section below. Alternatively, you can email me at andersonsecurityconsulting@gmail.com. Okay, so let's get into the meat and potatoes of this video. Boosie Badass, or Lil Boosie, a real name Torrance Hatch. Okay, Mr. Torrance Hatch was arrested early last month, early in May, for possession of, well, it was a traffic stop in San Diego. Subsequent to that traffic stop, they searched the vehicle. He was in a car with another individual. There were 2 loaded guns found in the vehicle. As most of you may know, Boosie is a prohibited possessor. He's got several felonies, and so he's not even supposed to be around a gun. He shouldn't own a gun or carry one, even ammunition. I think, I know in the state of Florida, I believe in California as well too, if you're a convicted felon, not only can you not have a gun or own a gun, you cannot even be in possession of one or possession of ammunition at all. And so, and I get it, because ammunition does you no good if you don't have a gun to work with it, right? So he gets arrested, he posts bond. Earlier this month, I think on the 14th of June, the county of San Diego dropped the case. They dropped the case. So he walks out of the courthouse free momentarily, only to be scooped up by federal authorities. All right, so feds can pick up cases that local or state or county governments can drop or might drop, just because they may have a vested interest in it. It may be a high profile case. It may be something that winds up being expensive, and sometimes the local municipalities and states don't want to absorb that cost. The United States government has an unlimited budget. So going up against them, as we can see, they have like a 97% conviction rate. It's because they have an unlimited well of resources and manpower they can draw from. So they typically don't lose. So they have a very high success rate. So Boosie gets picked up on these charges. And so in most cases, usually attorneys will know that there is a chance that that the federal authorities or a higher court or a higher jurisdiction might pick up these cases. So I'm not entirely sure that he was completely flat-footed. He may have been, but if he was, it's unfortunate. But it's well within their rights to do so. And as of the last report I saw, they denied his they said he was a flight risk and denied his petition for bond. So what could he have done different, or what did he do wrong, and what could he have done? Well, here's what he did. He was carrying a gun. He's unlicensed, obviously. He's a prohibited possessor, obviously. And whatever he did, he got pulled over. But it wasn't just getting pulled over. He's also been photographed and videotaped in videos on social media. I think there's an Instagram video out there. He was in San Diego, I think, to shoot a video, but he wound up chilling with some guys on the corner, and somebody videotaped him with a gun tucked into the back of his pants. And so, look, here's the thing. Some of the guys that are in that criminal activity in that world, first of all, I don't suggest you get into that world. It's a one-way street. Everybody who gets into that world fails, and they wind up wasting a lot of time. And all we have is time, and none of us knows how much time we have. So do you want to spend it spinning your wheels, doing unproductive things, doing things that are going to put you in the spotlight or land you in prison or jail? My advice would be no. However, everybody has to make their own choices. So, and I know some people are just going to choose that lifestyle. So if you're a prohibited possessor, why are you carrying a gun in such an obvious way so that it showed? It showed. It was showing. And do I think this was an accident? No, I don't think this was an accident. He was hanging out with the tough guys, and having a gun on you somehow, having a gun showing somehow makes you a tough guy. I don't really see how that makes you a tough guy, but in some circles, maybe that's how it works. So the feds have him now. According to what I've read, besides possession of a firearm by a convicted felon, possession of ammunition by a convicted felon, the big one is transporting or importing a firearm from one state to the other across state lines. Big no-no, huge no-no. So the last report I read, he's facing between 5 and 15 years. He may not get that much. He may wind up getting federal probation. I don't know. But here's the thing with Boosie, and I have to say this: Boosie, or gentlemen who might be thinking of doing the same thing as Boosie. Boosie beat a murder rap in Louisiana, and apparently he was possibly facing the death penalty. Why are you still getting involved in this stuff, man? You're a millionaire, but you're moving like a guy who's got $100 in his pocket. Millionaires move differently. I know. I work for a lot of millionaires. I've worked for billionaires. They move differently. They don't move like hundredaires or thousandaires or 100,000aires. You got to stop moving that way. You shouldn't be on a corner doing that. Now, if you are in an area where you think your life may be in danger, well, number one, don't go to that area. We all know where the hot spots are, especially in California. It's pretty easy to avoid these spots. Even if you get in there by accident, guess what? Don't get out of the car. Don't get out of the car and keep going. Keep it moving. Number two, and I said this before, hire professional, licensed, armed, and insured security professionals. Easy. Even if you hire off-duty cops, although he does not have a very good relationship with law enforcement, he's been very vocal about his dislike for law enforcement. Okay, fine, whatever. But you can hire, there are alternatives, even in California, to hire armed security to make sure you're okay. So guess what? If I'm in a car, if I'm in a limo with a client, and we get pulled over, and they say, hey, do you have any, here's the first thing, I'm going to hand them my license, my PI license, my firearms license, and I'm going to say, hey, look, I'm on a job, I'm on an executive protection detail, this is the company I work for, I'm going to hand them my business card as well. I'm going to say, it's an armed detail, I am armed right now. Right? I do that for a couple of different reasons. Number one, the client already knows I'm armed. Number two, law enforcement officers, at least here in Florida, I'm sure in California as well too, if they know that you're riding legit and you're admitting to that up front, they're going to be more at ease, which will help us avoid any misunderstandings that winds up with me catching a fatal case of terminal case of lead poisoning. Let's put it that way, right? We want to avoid that at all costs, right? So hire security, man. Why are you traveling all around the place with a firearm when you should? And this has happened to him before. This happened to maybe 6-7 years ago. He got pulled over, and I guess his bodyguard at the time was like hiding a gun or something like that. So clearly the bodyguard was not licensed. So I use the word bodyguard, but usually these guys are not bodyguards, they're henchmen. It's a tough guy from around the way. A tough guy from around the way is not a bodyguard. He is not an executive protection specialist. He's more likely to get you sued or arrested. And so, when we look at what Boosie's going to go through, he's already spent time in prison. You would think he'd had enough spending time in prison, but apparently not because of the way he's moving. Maybe he thought he was going to get away with it. Okay, maybe he could. Another thing he did was he went on another media outlet on YouTube, a gentleman named Math Hoffa, a guy in New York who asked some really kind of reckless questions that well, the questions aren't reckless, the answers are reckless. So anybody can ask you what they want. You can't really blame the media outlet for asking about details of different things. That's what they're there to do. They're there to get things to clickbait, get people talking about them. So that's their purpose. Your job would be to just say, I don't even worry about that sort of thing. Deflect the question. Instead, this guy goes on there and says, Math Hoffa asked him, hey, if you have a firearm, you get caught with a firearm, what do you do? Do you keep it real and cop to it? And he's like, no, we always got young guys around us who will take the gun charge. And so back in the day, they used to call that somebody, the purpose was for them to be stood up. So they stand up and take the charge, raise their hand, so they get a minimal charge. And for that purpose, they were typically compensated, or their families were compensated with money or other goods or services. And so the other person who already has a criminal background doesn't spend the rest of his life in prison or do a long stretch. Well, he just talked about that on social media, so move differently, higher security, stop getting yourself caught up in things like this, man. This is foolish. I mean, this is a bad look. It's a really bad look among several bad looks with Boosie. And look, he's a talented guy. Obviously, he's made a ton of money. He's very successful, very talented guy, way more talented than I am. But it's like, man, look, if you need some advice, not even trying to charge you, man, but if you need some advice on how to do things differently, call me, call somebody like me who will advise you how to do things and avoid winding up in the clutches of the law. The same thing will work for anybody else. Don't put yourself in a bad position. If you need security, hire someone who is trained and licensed to do so you can put your mind at ease. Clients that hire me don't have to worry about getting pulled over by the cops. I've never been pulled over on a detail, but if I do get pulled over, I'm prepared for that. If anything bad were to happen, well, we're prepared for that as well too. This is what we do. Hire a professional, not the guys from around the hood, around the way that you grew up with, that you trust, that got your back and all the rest of that stuff. Look, man, I think Lil Wayne had the same thing, a similar incident. I think he was up in Georgia as well too. The police found amongst probably a bunch of drugs and paraphernalia, they found a firearm, and Lil Wayne was he attempted to get the bodyguard to take the charge for him. The bodyguard was like, nah, you can miss me with that. He did the Olay defense. He did the Matador. He was like, Olay. He's like, nah, I'm not taking that charge for you. And here's the thing, professionals aren't taking charges for anybody. I'm not taking the charge for anybody. I'm not doing any time for anybody. I'm not copping for anybody. I'm not getting myself in trouble for anybody. I lived my life trouble-free, despite having grown up in the Bronx, despite having served in the Middle East and a few other places, Desert Storm, Desert Shield, and a few other conflicts as well. I kept myself out of trouble, and I'm going to keep keeping myself out of trouble. So I'm not going to jail for a client. Neither should anybody else. And if you hire a professional, this is what you can expect. So if you want a henchman, these are the results you get. You got two felons in the car, and you got two guns in the car. You're both probably going to jail. Now, Boosie will probably not. Hopefully, he'll get federal probation. But they may make an example of him. And I have to make this point as well too for the guys who are the gangsters that are involved in criminal activity, but they have social media accounts. If you're involved in criminal activity, and again, I've said before, you shouldn't be. You shouldn't be involved in criminal activity. Stay away from that. Most of you guys shouldn't be in gangs. Most of you shouldn't be involved in criminal activity. You're not made for that. You're not really equipped to deal with the repercussions. And this is something you should stay away from. But when you look at the way the federal government is chasing down and cracking down on people who advertise their criminal activity online. Atlanta, another thing in Atlanta, the YSL case, Young Thug and all the rest of these guys. How many cases have we seen where people talk about criminal activity, Casanova 2X, and then we talk about who's the guy from Philly? You guys know what I'm talking about. I can't remember off the top of my head right now, but they're cracking down on these things. Look, the federal government knows that there's going to be criminal activity going on. In some cases, you can make the case that a black market is necessary for a healthy economy to a certain extent. But if you're advertising it, they're going to go after you. So the message is, stop advertising your criminal activity. Stop talking about your criminal activity. Stop snitching on yourself. And if you go on a media outlet, and I'm pretty sure Boosie has gone on media outlets, I think he was under the influence, under different things. I don't think I've ever seen an interview where he was actually sober. And so these media outlets can capitalize on your lack of sobriety and the fact that you're not all there and you're not at your sharpest, and they can get you to talk about things. Now, it's still up to you to not talk about them, but if you're going out there and you're going on these outlets high, which I'm pretty sure Boosie has been, this is what's going to happen, man. They're going to trick you. You're going to talk. You're going to say something. A.R. Ab was the guy who talked about criminal activity to such an extent, a shocking amount of not just self-snitching. He got other people locked up because he couldn't keep his mouth shut. Dude, shut up, man. Stop posting stuff on the internet. Like, you guys will do something like, okay, you'll have a beef with somebody, then you'll threaten to kill each other, then you'll drop your location, then that person will go missing, then you make a rap song about this person and or about a person and about how you dispose of the body and all the rest of this stuff. Then you claim and cry out loud, "Oh my God, somebody snitched on me." No, man. like the most famous gangsters, or sorry, the best gangsters, or guys you never heard of, man. Guys like Russell Buffalino. Russell Buffalino kept his mouth shut. He was low key all the time. A lot of the real mobsters, a lot of the Russian mobsters, a lot of the Japanese, the Chinese, the Tongs, the Triads, they keep themselves quiet, man. Why? Because they know that the more they stay below the radar, the better off they are, and the more chance they have that law enforcement will overlook them. Anyway, that's all I have for today. It's your boy Russ. Again, if this had any value, whether it's informative or entertaining, please consider hitting like. Also, please consider subscribing. I think we're up to 150 subscribers so far. I got an email the other day, so thank you. Thank you so much, all of you who have subscribed. I will keep putting out content, and I am working on improving my game. So again, it's your boy Russ. I'm out.